roving camera in her office.
Hands were tied, she says. How's the FBI a bad thing in this situation?
It's not a bad thing, Chris. Listen, I think
Just
that the
do me a
FBI.
favor. How is the FBI a bad situation?
I didn't say it was, Chris. I said it's
I
not.
want you to answer the question instead of talking about the Democrats. Should they do it or not?
Chris, let me finish, okay? It's not.
I just don't like where you started, but go ahead.
Why? So let me finish. You don't get to like what I say or not. You just have to listen. I don't like what you say half the time, and I listen politely. So just listen politely and let me go. So Chris, what I'm saying is that I agree with you. This entire process has been incredibly politicized to the detriment of both Professor Ford and Judge Kavanaugh. It's not fair to either of them. I do think that both parties, both sides, would love to get to the truth.
Okay.
What is that truth? You have, Dr. Ford's version of the truth, and you're going to have, she's saying one thing, and you're going to have Judge Kavanaugh saying something completely opposite. So they're going to have an FBI investigation. They're going to sit down under oath in front of the FBI and tell the exact same story that they've told the media, they've told the press.
Right.
It doesn't seem like anybody has a specific recollection of where, what, when, who was there. They're not going to be able to go back and dust forensically. This isn't CSI where they're going to end up in 30 minutes with a conclusion. Here's the bad guy. Here's the good guy. They're going to end up in a situation exactly like we are now.
That's not true.
With more questions, Chris. More questions.
It's not true. And Dave, look, I get
Chris,
why you want it to be true.
What do you think they're going to end up with?
Here's the truth. Here's the fact. I don't know that they're going to get the truth. Here's what I know. I know you don't know. And I know I don't know. And I know that you want this to happen now, and you want to see it only as part of a political process.
No, I don't. I didn't put words in my mouth.
Doesn't smell good from the Democrats' perspective. The question was, isn't this better if the FBI gets involved? And the answer, Simone, is yes. That's the answer.
Mischaracterize what I said, Chris.
That's exactly what you said. I'll send the transcript.
I said that FBI is a good thing. I think it could be done in an expeditious manner. There's not a lot of witnesses here.
You actually never said any of that, but it's good.
Chris, I sure did. Press rewind the tape and play when you get home tonight.
You said, I don't like that it's been politicized by the Democrats. Right. That was your direct answer to whether the FBI is a good thing. It's a complete non sequitur. No. Then when you got to the FBI, you said, they'll find out nothing more than we know right now, and I'm telling you don't know that. Let me get Simone in. Simone, go ahead.
Look, I think the fact of the matter here is that the treatment of Dr. Ford in this situation by the leadership on the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Republicans, it's just been abysmal. I think if folks really, what is the rush is my question. After Justice Scalia's death, Mitch McConnell held that seat open for 422 days, denied Merrick Garland even a hearing. It has only been about 47, maybe even 48 days since Justice Kennedy retired. What is, in fact, the rush here? And so if folks really believe in getting to the truth, if people really want to have the facts, we need to do our due diligence. Let the FBI do the investigation. And I hope senators from both sides of the aisle, and operatives included, will call on the president to ask for that investigation.
Quick follow, and then Dave, I'll come back to you. Okay. Simone, fair point. How we got to this point, I don't like it. I get that there was a request for anonymity. I get why, but not as an answer to whether the FBI should investigate. Hold on a second. So, Simone, do you think that there is room for criticism? That when they got this letter, whether it was Eshoo or Feinstein, and they knew what it was, yes, they had a duty to the accuser. They had a duty to Ford, no question, but they had a duty to the process as well. Was it handled the right way?
I'm sorry, I have to chuckle because the Senate Republicans, the Senate that has blown up the rules at almost every single turn over the last 2 years, that is now talking about process when it benefits them.
It's not me. I get that they do Jonas things. I take it to them. Don't worry about that. But is there room for that here as well?
No, I really don't think the Senate Republicans have any ground to stand on.
Not the Senate Republicans, me. Do you think that Feinstein should have done more to provoke the process?
I think if she is protecting the confidentiality and the anonymity that Dr. Ford asked for in that moment, and that's what she was doing, she absolutely had the right to do that, to protect Dr. Ford first, because clearly the Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee and in the Senate at large weren't going to do so.
But then somebody leaked it. And that looks like political opportunism as well.
Which is why we're here at this point.
I don't think it was a Republican that leaked it.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't a Republican either, because when they heard about this, what did they do? They went in to protect Mo, and they found people to surround Kavanaugh with to say he would never do this. Now, you could argue that that's not their job either. They're not supposed to be just a sponsor and a booster. They're supposed to be a fair broker. And I can see that from them.
Listen, I agree, but you forget that, when you raise your hand in front of the Senate, you could be held in contempt of Congress as a crime, right? Lying to the Senate's a crime as well.
Yep.
So the fact that they can't get to the bottom of it somehow is, I agree that
I don't think they can get to the bottom of it because they're not motivated to.
well, the process would be highly politicized and completely unfair to both
100%.
parties.
The whole
Unfair to
confirmation
both parties.
process is fugazi. Nobody goes up there to disclose anything. They go there not to disclose, and it's been allowed since Bork because the two parties have a tacit agreement. We'll bitch about it, but we'll let you get your people in because we're going to do the same. And that's why these things are nothing about what they're supposed to be.
But listen, having the FBI is, I think, a wise thing. You want to make sure, especially, you you look back at the immediate Hill hearings, and you hope the Republican
That's
Party.
why Kavanaugh should want it. He doesn't want this cloud over his head. If he says it didn't happen,
I
he
agree.
wants to make his case.
You want to
why not having the cleansing and disinfectant light of attention from the FBI and having their stamp saying we've looked at it, we don't see anything more, or we do, as the case may be.
I think, however, that you can put some parameters on it and say, look, we're going to get this wrapped up in a short period of time, 2 weeks. Doesn't appear that there's a whole bunch of
They're
witnesses
saying
here.
Monday or bust.
Yeah, well, I think Monday's a long way from now. Facts change.
Okay.
You've been covering politics for a while. This is a political process, and I think the Republicans need to be very careful about appearing completely
The safe
insensitive.
play is to let the FBI investigate. Last word is
I just want to
small.
know, I have yet to hear you, David, say that you think the president should call for the FBI to investigate. So are you going to advise?
I think the FBI should look into this. I think they should. They provided a background check. They did a 15-year or longer background check on Brett Kavanaugh in 2003. Brett Kavanaugh was delayed
Well,
for 3
now
years.
we're asking them to do a background check on these
So Simone,
allegations, and I think
I am
the
saying
president
that the
should call
FBI,
for that.
the FBI done it before. They've done it in this case, and I think that as Chris says, sunlight's a great disinfectant. Everyone will feel that I don't know at the end of the day what's going to come out of it. I think you have two sides here who seem pretty entrenched. And
That's why you take it away from them.
Yes, a person
You take it away from them.
But I think, Chris, I think that's what the FBI.
Incredibly accusing.
No, I understand.
Hold on, let's secure this moment with something I never get on this show enough. Common ground. Everybody believes that this process is not what it should be in terms of the politics. And the best move is to let the FBI keep the irony to the side that the president's been trashing them for a year. That they should figure out what can be known, and then you move forward.
And
But the White House has to tell them to do that.
That's right. It will only happen if the White House asks. Everybody knows that.
Chris, I do think there should be some parameters. Shouldn't be open-ended.
Fine.
I think.
What do you have? What does Judge Kavanaugh have to hide?
Simone, nothing. But I'm saying it could be.
Then why do we need parameters?
Shouldn't be dragged out. In a week, if the FBI comes back and says, "Hey, we concluded this,"
You know what? No one is asking
All right, we
for
gotta go.
parameters. No one has asked for parameters on the FBI went on a tangent to
I don't
investigate
think
black
just-
extremists. Quote
Well,
unquote. I
that's not
find
what
it
we're talking
crazy.
about here.
I find it crazy that now we need parameters.
Let's keep
Because
it on
someone
point.
who's an ally of the White
No,
House is now being credited.
Let's keep it on point. We don't know
Right,
why they have
exactly.
any qualifications, but let's do one step at a time. Will the White House, will the president make the call to get some clarity here and take it away from the politicians? Let's hope they do. We all seem to agree on that. That's good enough for now. Simone Sanders, thank you. Dave Urban, always a pleasure. We've talked about the politics and the policy allegations against Kavanaugh. The person. One of the reasons that we had an inkling that this was coming was that we hadn't heard from Professor Ford about Monday and the woman on your screen right now, a lifelong friend who had reservations about testifying and something she needs you to know about who Professor Ford is. Next.
You're in the business of helping people. We're in the business of helping you. Business funding to help make a difference. Another way we have your back. The powerful backing of American Express. Don't do business without it.
Looking good. At Booking.com, we can't guarantee you'll be good at that water jet thingy, but we can guarantee the best price on this hotel or any accommodation from homes to yurts. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
This is Casper, the company bringing bedtime back to millions of happy sleepers. Try America's #1 rated mattress brand for 100 nights, risk-free. Unbox better sleep at Casper.com.
At Athene, we think it's time for the financial world to stop acting the same old way. You need a partner that is willing to break free from conventional thinking. We are a different kind of financial company. We are Athene, and we are driven to do more.
Breakfast wants you back.
Try new Just Crack an Egg, packed with diced potatoes, veggies, meat, and cheese. Just add a fresh egg for a hot scramble in less than 2 minutes to get those warm, fuzzy feelings again. Take breakfast back. Find it in the egg aisle.
For every woman who's proud to stick her neck out, there's Gold Bond Neck and Chest Cream. Improves texture, increases elasticity. 97% have firmer skin. Show your confidence, not your age. Gold Bond. Ultimate lotion, ultimate skin.
We're Thumbtack.
Rick Scott can't hide from the truth. He was CEO of a company fined $1.7 million for Medicare fraud. He gave political donors secret contracts after Hurricane Irma that cost taxpayers $30 million. He cut education. He denied health care. It's fair to blame Rick Scott for Florida's toxic algae crisis. He made $500 million in one deal as governor and hid it from the public. Rick Scott, you just can't trust him.
I'm Bill Nelson, and I approve this message.
At Leaders Casual Furniture, we have a huge selection of furniture and decor. If you can picture it, we can create it. We'll customize your new furniture with the styles and colors to complement your outdoor living space and home. We create quality furniture that lasts. Your furniture is custom finished by local hands at our headquarters in Clearwater. And because it's coming from Florida, we'll be delivering to your home before you know it. Leaders Casual Furniture. Quality that makes it easy to care for. Prices that make it easy to own.
Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, the final episodes, starts Sunday at 9 on CNN.
All right. Now, earlier tonight, we got a special opportunity. We now have the first chance for you to hear on TV, on the show, from a friend of Professor Ford. Several key points were made. First, this lifelong friend of Christine Blasey Ford, that's the professor's full name, and she also attended Holton Arms School. Her name is Samantha Gary. She has signed a letter of support vouching for the professor's character, and she is one of hundreds to do so in various efforts. Now, she foretold that the professor testifying was in doubt. Here's her explanation.
I think if Congress is serious about wanting to understand her experience and to verify it in whatever ways they can, there are other ways to do that, and that's what they should engage in. I think if I were in her shoes, I would have grave reservations about doing that, having seen sort of the level of discourse in the hearings so far, and I think we all remember Anita Hill, and that didn't go so well. And the public discourse right now is mean and divisive and very partisan. And when she first brought this forward, it was as a piece of information confidentially. She's been dragged into this and having to put her name to it, but that was not what she was bargaining for at the outset.
That last point is very interesting because so many assume that Ford is looking for her moment in the spotlight. Her friends and her actions suggest the other is more likely, that she is now surprised by the position she finds herself in. The key component for Samantha Gary is the main component. Why should we believe Professor Ford? Now, Gary's answer is she's not just an accuser. This is someone that she has known for decades, and she has watched her develop as a person. Here's her answer.
I have known her for 40 years, along with many of our friends, all of us who've signed the letter in her support. And there's nothing that we've ever known about her to be anything but honest and straightforward. And but I understand that is a personal testimony, which is why I'm here. But I'd also like to say that two things. One is she is a biostatistician. Her entire career has been dedicated to accuracy and to data and to facts. She's someone who is committed to that and highly regarded for that. And I think that speaks a great deal about what a serious and substantial person she is and how seriously she would take her telling her experience in this regard. And finally, I would say that, you know, she has nothing to gain from this except a clear conscience, which is a very powerful thing.
Takeaway there is a suggestion, an allegation, if you will, that Professor Ford is the tip of the spear for the Democrats. She's here to motivate their agenda, get a delay, try to derail Kavanaugh here at the last moment. Why did she ask for anonymity? Why did she fight to keep it that way with Issue and
She's a
Feinstein?
professor?
And why is she asking for the FBI to dig into the allegations? That's the
Oh, I
last
thought
thing that you would want if you're coming at this from a point of incredibility. Now, the last point was somewhat of a repeat, but it's really important that Samantha Gary was here to say, my friend is a professor and a private citizen, not a politician. And why she came forward matters. Take a listen.
Christine is not a political person and does not have a political agenda with this. She came to this as a private citizen with information that she thought was important on a very important civic matter. It was certainly a difficult decision to have to come forward and enter this fray, you know, basically unprepared, and to be, you know, sort of thrown into this, knowing that she was going to become a political football.
Quick point on this. This is important for you to hear. My social media is popping up with all of you guys saying that you needed to hear this. You haven't heard this. This is why you need the FBI to look into this. You need people to have the interviews with those who are around and those who knew and develop context and understandings of credibility and any patterns and traits. You need all of that. Why? Because these senators are starting at zero in terms of being able to advance our understanding with what they know right now. And that's putting aside to the fact that I'm assuming they want to probe for probity's sake. And we all know that that is not an easy assumption to make these days. So that's Samantha Gary. We thank her very much. Like what she says about Professor Ford, she was not looking to come to talk to you tonight. She's got her own life to worry about. She doesn't want to play political football either, but it matters enough to come out and speak what she says is the truth. So there's another book coming out that President Trump likely doesn't want you to read. Stormy Daniels penned this one. It talks about their affair, but also a lot more. It is buzzworthy, and guess what? CNN's got a copy. You want to hear what's in it? Next.
So-so pizza? Not in this house. Because that's no so-so family. That's your family. Which is why you didn't grab just any cheese. You picked up new Kraft expertly paired mozzarella and Parmesan for Pete's. Ah, yeah. Kraft. Family greatly.
Because of my teeth, I learned to do things from a distance. We just never talked about it.
Having a dental problem is a huge barrier. The love I feel for him, I want to make sure that he was happy.
And that's when we started talking. Then I looked into the dental implant process. Now I had an option.
At Clear Choice, we believe in more of a permanent solution.
There's an alternative to dentures. With Clear Choice, it's a very fine art and science mixed.
Everything is in one facility.
We're able to do all that all in one day. You start the healing process with your teeth.
Now she's smiling and I smile back. And now we connect. That made everything worth it. That was the new beginning for us, for a long, healthy life.
Women get stronger and more resilient with age. So why can't our skin? Gold Bond Strength and Resilience. Plumping moisturizers, skin strengthening proteins keep skin looking younger. 84% saw improvement in skin texture in 5 days. Gold Bond Strength and Resilience.
Smart News. No connection means no news, unless you download Smart News. Read from over 300 sources, even offline. For news anywhere you go. Download Smart News for free today.
Yes, we are twins. When I went on to Ancestry, I just put in the name of my parents and my grandparents. And I was getting all these leads, and I was going back generation after generation. You start to see documents, and you see signatures of people that you've never met. I mean, you don't know these people, but you feel like you do. You get connected to them. I wish that I could get into a time machine and go back 100 years, 200 years, and just meet these people. Being on Ancestry, it just made me feel like I belong somewhere.
Discover your story. Start searching for free now at Ancestry.com.
Promote what makes your business great with Vistaprint. Whether it's a business card, a banner, or a postcard, we have the paper stocks, sizes, and design options to create marketing that's right for your business. Give it a try with 500 standard business cards starting at just $9.99 when you use code VP500 at Vistaprint.com.
With moderate to severe Crohn's disease, I was there. Just not always where I needed to be.
Sure, right?
I hope so. So I talked to my doctor about Humira. I learned Humira is for people who still have symptoms of Crohn's disease after trying other medications. And the majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief, and many achieved remission in as little as 4 weeks.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible.
Stormy Daniels has a tell-all book. The title is Full Disclosure, but it's not just claims about her relationship with Donald Trump. CNN has obtained a copy, and Sarah Seidner has been digging into all the details. So let's start with Stormy writing about the first time she met Donald Trump back in 2006. Give us some content and context.
Oh, let's see.
I'm ready to get out there, and I have read the entire book, Chris. And there are some stunning details in there, I have to say, but it's not just about, as you mentioned, Donald Trump. She talks about her life as a young woman and as a child, which are some disturbing details in what she went through. But we all know the story of her meeting Donald Trump right at the golf course. And she was there for a company, a porn company that was basically doing an entertainment thing, and they were kind of around just hanging out with the people who came to the golf tournament. Then she describes something that we hadn't heard before. When she walks into the hotel room, she writes that Donald Trump had invited her. She writes, Trump came swooping in wearing black silk pajamas and slippers. What are you doing? I yelled. Get some, and she uses the word, effing clothes on. That is how she met Donald Trump for the very first time inside that hotel room. She says he did put his clothes on. She says they had a whole conversation after that. They talked about many things, like how the porn industry works business-wise, and also about their families. She says she asked him point blank, and here's what she said. She said, what would your wife think of me being here with you? And he replies, she writes, oh, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. And anyway, we have separate bedrooms. She goes on to say that Donald Trump at that moment takes out a picture of Melania and his 4-month-old son, Barron, and shows it to her. And she says he was genuinely proud of his family. But after that, the two of them did end up having sex, Chris.
And on that topic, obviously, it's of great importance, and there are many questions that I have that I will not ask you right now, but on TV, what can you tell us?
Okay, so she
Be mindful. Be
great
mindful.
detail. Look, my mother's watching, and I am not going to embarrass my mother, okay? She talks in great detail, Chris, about Donald Trump's genitalia. I'll just put it that way, and I'll give you a small bit from her book. She says his penis is distinctive in a certain way. She talks about shape. She talks about size. She talks about a lot of different things. And then there is something really fascinating that we had never heard before beyond those salacious details. She says that the second time that she was in a hotel room with him, which was here in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, he got an interesting phone call. That phone call was from Hillary Clinton, she writes. Here's what she says. She talks to him, she hears him say hello to her, she can hear her on the phone. She said when he hung up, he was effusive about Hillary. I love her, he said. She is so smart. Now, this was a time, and I want to remind you, it's 2007.
Yeah.
What was happening at the time? Hillary Clinton was up against Barack Obama as they were trying to get the presidential nomination, the Democratic presidential nomination. So a very interesting thing to hear from Donald Trump. He was effusive. Really said that he liked her.
Shocking that he would say one thing and then say another. Sarah Seidner, you are a better person than I am. Thank you for going through the book and telling us everything we need to know and nothing more. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we return to our top story. The Kavanaugh storm just took a major new twist. Mixed metaphor, but it's a real headline. Right back with a big Kavanaugh supporter in Congress to talk about the news of day, Congressman Matt Gaetz. Next.
Before discovering Nexium 24-hour to treat her frequent heartburn, Lucy could only imagine enjoying a slice of pizza. Now it's as easy as pie. Nexium 24-hour stops acid before it starts for all day, all night protection. Can you imagine 24 hours without heartburn?
Grubhub is a delivery app that lets you order from all your favorite local restaurants. And yeah, it is that easy. Grubhub, restaurants you love, delivered.
Allergy congestion can keep you from enjoying the moment. Allegra D combines a fast, non-drowsy antihistamine with a powerful decongestant to help you break through symptoms for 24 hours of relief. Get back to the moment with Allegra D.
I've been friends with Brett Kavanaugh for 35 years. Never thought about doing a TV commercial. I'm not involved in politics. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. I believe that we need to have bright, curious, open-minded, thoughtful, empathetic people who are judges. And I trust that Brett is that person. He's dedicated to his work. He's dedicated to his family. He's of the highest integrity as a person. And I believe that he would be a great Supreme Court justice.
Walking a dog can add thousands of steps to your day. Walking this many, that can be rough on Pam's feet, knees, and lower back. That's why she wears Dr. Scholl's orthotics. They relieve pain and give her the comfort to move more, so she can keep up with all her best friends. Dr. Scholl's, Born to Move.
There was nobody like Anthony Bourdain. Traveling with him to Kenya was one of the greatest times of my life. First time on this continent. Yes. Honored guest. That's my first eye. Everybody who had dreams of traveling with Tony, it's exactly as cool as you think it is.
The season premiere of Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, Sunday at 9 on CNN.
Hi, I'm Old.
At Oak Hill Hospital, we're proud to offer the area's only dedicated pediatric ER.
That means it's just me. And me. It means I get to play video games. And the shots that didn't hurt.
It means your child will be seen by board-certified pediatricians and nurses.
They know exactly how much medicine to give me based on my height and weight. It means the hospital isn't that scary anymore.
Oak Hill Hospital Pediatric ER. Care that revolves around you and your kids.
I'm really big on knowing why I'm doing something based on some kind of science. Up till about 8th grade, I was actually very overweight. And the only way it was going to change is if it started with me. I want to be able to train as smartly and as accurately as I possibly can. And I'm always looking for those kind of things that can help me progress forward as just a healthy person and as an athlete.
Know your body. Understand your DNA with 23andMe. Order your Health Plus Ancestry Kit today at 23andme.com.
How old were you the first time you saw someone get killed?
9. All right, let's keep it going. Don is off again tonight, which means we've got a bonus hour of Cuomo Prime Time, and we begin with big breaking news. The woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault in high school is saying she'll testify, but she wants there to be a complete FBI investigation first. Republicans are saying Monday or no way. But will it stay there? Is it going to be all about getting this through or getting it right? On a score of the same type of battle, President Trump orders the declassification of documents in the Russia probe. Why? Transparency, he says. Give all the information. Do it right. On FISA, yes. On Ford, no. We go one-on-one with Republican Congressman Matt Gates. And CNN obtains a copy of Stormy Daniels' new book, where she shares explicit details of her alleged affair with Donald Trump. Chris Cillizza on what we learn after months of allegations and denials. Busy Tuesday. What do you say? Let's get after it some more.
What?
A lot of people thought, including yours truly for a while, that Brett Kavanaugh's accuser was going to testify on Monday before the Senate committee. But now there's a major precondition. CNN has obtained a letter addressed to the Senate Judiciary Chair that says Professor Ford wants to testify, but she wants the FBI to investigate first. Now, there's a plus minus here. On the plus side, you could say it's a boost to her credibility. Who wants the feds digging into something that they're lying about? On the negative side, it smacks of politics because this is what the Democrats have been pushing for as well. So let's test this. We have a member of the House Judiciary Committee here tonight, Florida Republican Matt Gaetz. Good to have you, sir.
Good to be back with you, Chris.
Thank you for making the time. So let's start with the obvious proposition. Have the FBI do what they do with judicial nominees. Have them look into it. We'll better equip the senators to advise and consent on this matter.
You repeatedly asked guests in prior segments, what would the harm be in just having the FBI look into this? And here's one thing I would propose to you, Chris. If you're always able to launch another investigation at the conclusion of the normal review window, then these will be interminable hearings for every Supreme Court justice forever, no matter who the president is or no matter who controls the Senate. So at some point, you've got to be able to act on the information that you actually have. Now, I'm frustrated that Dianne Feinstein didn't release this information sooner. I'm frustrated even more that it leaked in kind of a sneaky, political operative looking way. I think you've been fair in highlighting those concerns. But we also have to note that Brett Kavanaugh has been investigated by the FBI 6 times. So what is it that we hope to find in the 7th investigation about an alleged event that maybe happened 36 years ago?
They missed this. She hadn't come forward. They had no way of knowing. You can't hold the FBI accountable for what they can't know. So now they know. And look, is politics at play? That's
wait a second.
That's a given. But you see it on both sides. So why not take it out of their hands and give it to the FBI? They're the only fair broker.
Well, it is unfair to suggest that they missed something if you don't know that something is true or false.
Missed the allegation. She had to come forward. I'm not saying this was a dispute.
She hasn't made the allegation.
We agree. The FBI didn't make a mistake. They didn't know. I'm saying your point is, what are they going to find that they didn't find before? This. Because they never knew about this. So they should look at it.
Right, but the premise of that is that it is true. That is a tautology.
No. It's not a tautology.
The thing is true because it is true.
No, I agree. That is a tautology. But this is not a tautology. It's, is she telling the truth? What can you ascertain? What can you find out? This is what they do with background checks all the time. Now they have new information.
And he had 6 of them. But we have times they go 8 months, 10 months, as long as a year and a half in some circumstances. They talk to all the people you've been involved in your life. And so here with Professor Ford, if there was some proffer of evidence, if there was some contemporaneous account of the event, if there was some nexus of facts to go, there it would feel a lot healthier. Well, we don't know that there is, right? So how do you go and investigate in the absence of some probable cause?
Look, here's my point.
What do you investigate? She doesn't know when it happened. She doesn't know where it happened.
She doesn't know exactly,
which is completely consistent. So where do you start?
I did a story down in your home state.
President Trump.
What are we arguing? I did a story down in your home state about women who suffer these types of events and how they process and how they're dealt with. And by the way, your state's doing a heck of a job. You've got lots of outreach for women so that they're processed right and treated the right way. Bravo to your state because the government funds a lot of it. It is not unusual to forget moments of trauma, to convince yourself to forget so you can survive. And we've heard from multiple friends that was her case. And I'll tell you what, it squares with how she came forward here. Why would she come out anonymously if she wanted to be the tip of the spear for Democrats? Why would she push Eshoo and Feinstein to bungle it the way you are arguing that they did? Why, if she wanted to come out and say something that wasn't true? Why would she ask for the feds to dig into a story? If she thinks there's a chance it winds up being false or uncorroborated in any possible way, why would she set herself up for that? It's a lot of questions there that why not take a look? Do you want to look for 8 months, 10 months? You say no. Fine. The White House controls the process. But why say no altogether?
Well, the Senate does.
No, the Senate
Well,
does not. The
well,
White
I
House
think
decides whether or not the FBI looks into this, not the Senate.
Well, the Senate is going to decide whether or not they proceed in taking floor action prior to some investigative activity by
The
the
White
FBI.
House has to ask the
If the
FBI.
Senate said that they wouldn't, well, or the Senate could say that they're not going to proceed until the FBI issues some report. That can happen frequently. I am not making the suggestion that Professor Ford is not telling the truth. I'm not making the suggestion that she shouldn't be believed. That would be terribly irresponsible for you and I to do when we don't know the facts. But let me perhaps propose a hypothesis for you to criticize. The facts are never going to be knowable here. We're actually never going to know the truth about this, just like we don't really know the truth about Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill. That's one of the reasons why we have statutes of limitations in this country. Over time, we don't become less interested in justice. It's that justice becomes so much more difficult to obtain as memories fade. Now, I appreciate the compliments you gave to the state of Florida. I served as our criminal justice chairman and put a lot of those policies in place when I was in our legislature. And you are absolutely right. People react to trauma in very different ways. And when you're looking at something that could potentially have happened 38 years ago, I think you have to at least acknowledge the possibility that facts could be confused, events could be sort of
True, the FBI pros is messing all that stuff up. And here's just something that's not
but
being considered.
they're not pros at doing it at 36 years old. They actually never do this with a 36-year-old allegation because
They do it
the
with
statute of
homicide.
limitations would have run for criminal.
They do it with homicide.
But not this type of an event. Homicide creates a different catalog of physical evidence. It creates more opportunities.
Maybe
to
not.
go
Most of the
and
cases,
solve
as you
the
know, are
crime.
circumstantial. You don't have direct evidence. Sometimes, you're searching just for a body and, whatever it was that was, the means that were used to commit the homicide. But here's what I'm saying. Let's not get too into the hypothetical. If you're Judge Kavanaugh, I know that he has confidence that he can fight this and win. I know that from sources around him. But it doesn't seem like his sponsors have the same confidence. And he's the one who's going to have the cloud hanging over his head, Congressman. There'll always be doubt. If you do Monday or no way to Professor Ford, I know you're not in the Senate, you're in the House. But if that's what happens in the Senate, that cloud's over his head. Is that something he wants? Is that what you want to do with him?
Look, no, I think that's sadly an inevitable part of the culture of accusation that we're in today, that is a response to a culture of silencing victims that was of yesteryear. And we as a society are still struggling with this balance. But I would argue that there's probably a cloud still over Clarence Thomas, whether that's fair or unfair, because we don't really know what happened with him and Anita Hill. And we're not going to ever
You didn't have the
really
FBI
know what
look into that
happened
either.
with Brett Kavanaugh.
At least if you have the FBI look, if they come back and say, we cannot corroborate what the professor says, the Democrats asked for it, they say they trust the FBI, that's that, for better or worse. If they find something, you
how
pursue
do you
it, but at
solve
least
this
you have an
problem?
independent arbiter.
So tell me how you solve this problem. We go through a month-long process. The FBI says we can find no evidence, we can't proceed. And the day after that process ends, a new victim comes forward. Do we take another month? Do we take another month after that? I mean, at some point, don't we have to have some conclusion to this so that we're able to populate the court as the
Maybe not.
Constitution requires?
I'm really slow to cap possibilities
Why would
when it
anybody-
comes to a class of people who've been silenced for so long.
Why would anybody do that?
I mean, look,
I agree.
You know
I
what our
agree.
problem is,
There
and this
has
is why I
to be
like this
some-
conversation. This is a struggle. We have certain operating rules, but not many. Because we don't like the rules unless they play to advantage here. And that's what we're witnessing in real time with this Senate confirmation process. Everybody plays to advantage. Everybody's afraid of what they can't control. So if it's in a court of law, that's one standard of review. Outside of that, we're lost. If I say that,
The
hey,
court of law would never review this. This would never meet the court standard, right? Like you made that point earlier with Michael Moore, and I thought it was very effective, that we have a judicial system, but once we get out of that, that this becomes a matter of talking heads and political pundits and not factual development of evidence.
Right, but the culture
that's why we
influences
don't
the
do
rules of
factual
the process.
development of evidence on cases this old.
right, but it works hand in glove.
But this
It works hand in glove, though, Matt. You're making the right point,
How
Congressman.
so?
But here's how so. The reason that we don't review these, in part, you're right, judicial economy. You're right, preservation of evidence and administration of justice, what they call judicial economy. You're right. However, it's also cultural. That we forgive accusations over time. We don't let people come out later out of convenience. Imagine, God forbid, it were one of my kids. And she came out, or he came out many years later and said it happened. And the system said, too bad, too late. Now, a lot of those laws are changing as our culture of appreciation of consequence and crisis evolves, but we're not there yet. And I think we're living in real time right now, and it is a struggle. It's imperfect. It's inconvenient. It's uncomfortable. I grant you all of that. But the best case scenario right now, given that she didn't just pop up out of nowhere and is without credibility, and it seems like she's just taking a flyer here to help the Democrats, is you have to do something better than what you're prepared to do.
No one's suggesting that. No one is suggesting that.
Well, they are by saying that they're not going to
There's
give
not
her any
sufficient
independent review.
evidence, right? Look, if you had a contemporaneous writing, if you had a contemporaneous oral account, something, if she knew the date, the time, the place of the party where we could go and try to cobble together witnesses from 36 years later about an event in high school, but there's not even a hook upon which to
Well, I'm just saying that I don't know that we don't know that it exists, and the only way to know is to dig. I get your concern about the unending string of allegations. I'm saying, I get your concern about that, but there could be a middle ground. Could be a middle ground if you have your eye on the right priority. We'll see what happens. You're not to account for that. You're not in the Senate, at least not yet. Let me ask you about something else, though, that dovetails into this. So in the name of transparency, forget about sources and methods. Forget about any potential protracted concern of national security. Trump wants the FISA application of Carter Page out. You could argue it's out of political expedience for him or out of transparency, but it's a hell of a thing to argue if he doesn't do the same for Ford. If you want transparency, want it everywhere. And I'm not even going to bang you over the head with his taxes tonight because I don't have enough time, and I've said that to you 100 times. But if you want transparency, want it everywhere. How do you justify wanting it with Carter Page and not with Ford?
Well, I have to say, you won't be able to beat me over the head on the taxes issue because on your network, Carried Live, I said the president should release his taxes because I am a transparency hawk. The question is whether or not that transparency is reasonably calculated to
beat you over the head by saying you don't call for it all the time, Matt, and you're not shy. You could be calling for those taxes.
Hey, look, man, I've just called for it. Hey, I've called for them before. I still think the president should be able to do it. The Congress has no power to force him to do it. But if I was
shouldn't have to.
I would
Go ahead, make your case about Carter
Page. I think he should. Sure. My case about Carter Page is this. We have secret FISA courts where things are happening that are aberrational. You had the Inspector General testify that this personnel move of having the very people that were on the Hillary Clinton investigation move to the FBI Russia investigation, then subsequently move to Mueller's investigation, that should never happen. And then you continue to see the text messages, the dossier, the way in which the dossier came through Bruce Orr rather than coming through the FBI directly. It all stinks, man, and I want to know what happened, and the American people deserve to know the truth. And frankly, when this is done, Republicans and Democrats need to get together and figure out a way to clean this up so that no matter who's in power, you don't weaponize the FISA court to go after your political enemies. We will never be able to start that process until we turn all the cards face up on the table.
Look, I'm a journalist. I'm always going to argue in front of transparency. I listen to the government all the time tell me about sources and methods and what I have to be careful about, and it's part of the balancing test. That's part of journalism. But I'll tell you this. One, FISA is not a secret court. As you know, it was created to keep the process less secret, to give areas of review and layers of review. Is it being used the right way? Separate question. Is it aberrational? As you say, we don't know yet. And when it becomes known, then we'll be able to assess, because you haven't seen that FISA application either. You're going on what others have told you about it. So we can't know.
No, I'm going based on what the Inspector General testified. I'm going based on the staffing that was expressly said by the Inspector General.
Right, but I read that report. There's not enough in there to know dispositively. That's why you want more. I'm not going to fight you on that point. I'll just say this. Even though there's risk to sources and methods and how it's done and when it's done and why it's done, if the president thinks it's that is important, he should see it that way every time out. And what's happening with Ford is one of those as well. And it's not a tit for tat. It's a this.
Yeah, but they're not the same thing.
They're about transparency.
We're not talking
Either
about.
You want people to know, and you want people to vet things, or you don't. That's all I'm saying. Well, you're right. They're not exactly the same.
Where you could reasonably. I want to vet things where you can reasonably find out what happened. I start with the premise that we will never know what happened with Ford and Kavanaugh because it happened so long ago, and there's nowhere to even begin the investigation.
Many cases that happened a long time. Many cases that happened a long time.
Yeah, but they start with better evidence. Well, I'm eager to hear your examples of that, but as it relates to the FISA process, I think there we'll be able to clearly see what was told to the court. What was not told to the court? I think it is one of the most underrated outrages of this entire circumstance. You had the wife of Bruce Orr, a senior Justice Department official, paid to go write dirt on the president, and that never got disclosed to the court that authorized
I
this
know
spy.
I know the
And by the way,
circumstance you're talking about.
You said it's not a secret court.
It's not a
You
secret
said it's not a
court.
secret court, but like if you and I can't go and watch,
Well,
that's
not the
my
definition.
of
Remember how it was before? Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. We all know that adage, right? It used to be that we didn't know what the hell it was based on. So they put in this law, Congress did it as a function of oversight, to make sure there were levels and standards that had to be followed. And here you had multiple judges that are all part of the same conspiracy of crazy, if you believe your opinion on it. But we'll see what comes out.
Not true. I don't think. No, that's totally different. I'm not saying the judges are part of some crazy conspiracy. I'm saying they were not told the truth. I'm
What
saying
was
they
in
didn't
there?
get information that the Woods procedures would have required. Well, let's see, Chris. I'll tell you what.
fine.
You and I will not know what was in there or not in there until it's
I'm
out.
going off the same report
I'm
you are, but
glad
you're
the
right.
president's on the side of transparency.
When it comes out, he just has to be consistent. When it comes out, especially if he's going to take risks to do it, you come back on, please, Congressman, and let's get after what's in there and what
I'd be honored.
Be well, and thank you for tonight.
We'll do it.
Thank you, Congressman Matt Gaetz,
My pleasure.
Republican, Florida. So, Kavanaugh's accuser maybe talks, maybe not. I think the chances you got to look at right now, less than average. But she has been leaning on some of her closest friends about going public. We're going to talk to a reporter who's been talking to her friends. Some insight for you haven't heard before. Next.
Lighten up with Feria Extreme Platinum Hair Color by L'Oreal. Lightens hair up to 7 levels. Feria is ammonia-free with conditioning oil. Never dull, never flat. Live in color, live in Feria Extreme Platinum by L'Oreal Paris. There's nothing small about your business. With Dell Small Business Technology Advisors, you get the one-on-one partnership to grow your business. The Dell Vostro 14 laptop. Get up to 40% off on select PCs. Call 877-BUY-DELL today.
Jerusalem Tel Aviv, vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard. With feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
Face the world as a face to be reckoned with. Only Botox Cosmetic is FDA approved to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better. It's a quick 10-minute cosmetic treatment given by a doctor to reduce those lines. There's only one Botox Cosmetic. Ask for it by name. The effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Do not receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyelid and eyebrow drooping, and eyelid swelling. Tell your doctor about your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. Leave your mark on the world. Minimize its mark on you. Get started at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Is it me, or do all banks feel the same? That's why Capital One is building something completely different. Capital One Cafes, welcoming places, with people here to help you, not sell you. With savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums. That are easy to open from right here or anywhere in 5 minutes. No smoke, no mirrors. This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
With Fidelity Wealth Management, you get straightforward advice, tailored recommendations, tax-efficient investing strategies, and a dedicated advisor to help you grow and protect your wealth. Fidelity Wealth Management.
Keep those shrimp coming. Endless Shrimp is back at Red Lobster with all the shrimp you want, any way you want them. Try delicious creations like new crunchy Fiesta Shrimp, tortilla chip crusted, then topped with a creamy blend of 3 cheeses and finished with pico de gallo. And there's new sesame ginger shrimp.
grilled and drizzled with savory soy ginger sauce and sprinkled with Asian seasoning. And don't forget the favorites you love, like garlic shrimp scampi. But endless shrimp won't last endlessly, so hurry in.
Before going public with her claims, Brett Kavanaugh's accuser spoke to friends about her decision to go public. Julia Protis Sulik is a reporter for the Mercury News in the San Francisco Bay Area. She interviewed a number of Christine Ford's friends. Good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. First question is, this is an interesting timing aspect. The Friends has reported in your story, and we spoke to Samantha Gary. He's not in your story, but she's a friend as well. This is something that Professor Ford says she spent a lifetime trying to forget, never wanted to advance. That's why she came out anonymously. That's why she pushed Democratic lawmakers to keep it that way. What do they tell you, and what do you think about it?
Well, I spoke with a number of her friends. She has a really close-knit group that is all rallying behind her now. And she spent a lot of time at the beach in the summer. Her kids are part of a junior lifeguard program. And one of her friends said we spent hours and hours on the beach. And, you know, she would confide in her friends that, you know, this had happened to her before. And then she started, once Kavanaugh's name came forward, she thought, God, what are the odds that this guy that did this to me is actually going to be the nominee that's going to be confirmed? And so she told her friends, gee, what should I do? Should I come forward? I'm not sure. If I do, will it make any difference? I can just, you know, she was just imagining what could happen, the allegations against her, people, you know, whatever. And she was also concerned that, as she said, he didn't rape me. Is it going to make a difference? It was an almost rape, as she put it. Her friends said that she was, you know, felt like she was struggling for her life.
It's called an assault,
by the way. The timing for, pardon me?
It's called an assault, really. I mean, if those facts match up with the, you know, any corroboration, you know, it's an assault. I mean, I get where her head was on the political reality of it, but certainly there's importance to the notion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's been traumatized by this. It's one thing to say you want to put it behind you, but it's another to actually try to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally. I totally.
One
Let me ask you something. Did you
interesting
pick
thing
up?
about
Oh, go ahead. Make your point.
one interesting thing about the impact it's had on her is that she can't sleep in a bedroom that doesn't have an exit door to the outside. She feels trapped. She's paranoid about feeling trapped and needs an escape. And she told friends that when they were remodeling their house, that she needed to make sure she had exit doors in the bedrooms. So this has affected her as much as she's tried to forget it.
Understood. Let's flip it. Anything you learned, anything that triggered your instincts as a reporter, that there could be political motivation here.
Like
that
that?
It's not just personal and reticence and concern that she doesn't like the president, that this is an opportunity, that she wants to help the cause of the Democrats.
Well, from her friends, of course, they all believe her, and they say that she's, you know, teeming with honesty, and, you know, would never make this up. What reason would she? I certainly asked
We don't have
about
any
her
proof.
political background, and, you know, if that
Does
could
anyone have any proof? Who was
any
in the
effect.
room?
And they said that she has, in fact, participated in some of these marches. She participated in the Women's March right after Trump was elected. She participated in the March for Science, and she was quoted in
Who
our
would have seen
paper
this?
at
If
the
this is
time,
at a party,
saying that she was
who would have
wearing
seen
one of
this?
these fuzzy brain caps, so it looked like, you know, the brain. So she was upset and talked to her friends about the immigration child separation policy. So by some standards, that would be considered pretty politically active. But to her friends in Palo Alto, they thought, well, that's really not much. She wasn't a political animal, and they certainly didn't consider her a bleeding heart. But her friend said that she knew that the fact that she, you know, considered herself a liberal, or at least her friends said that they considered her a liberal, that could present problems in
Who the
bringing
hell?
this.
How is this going to get solved?
such a hypercharged
How could this possibly get solved? It has to be
Right, and
moved.
of course,
He,
how
he
you feel
cannot.
is just one standard.
He
What
can't
you show
be. He
and
cannot be the
corroborate
judge.
Something else. Obviously,
He can't be
for
the
public
judge. That's what I'm
in a
saying.
court of law, that burden is not on the accuser once it gets
He
to
can't be the
trial.
judge,
But
though.
here, it'll be interesting to see if there's an opportunity to investigate and time is allowed
Not
to
with an
probe.
allegation like
Is
that.
there anything that comes up that squares with what the professor is saying beyond her
Get
own
somebody clean in
statements
there,
that we
move
have
on.
at this point? Julia Sulin, thank you for expanding our understanding. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. So now you've heard Professor Ford is not saying she won't testify. She's not saying she's backing away. I'm seeing on social media you're saying she's backed out. Who says that? She didn't say that. The letter says she wants something that is actually the opposite of that instinct. She wants an FBI investigation before she'll talk to the politicians.
Why?
Likely is she to get one? Great debate. Next.
Tony and I shared a similar goal to introduce our viewers to unfamiliar cultures. This is Life is about exploring the unknown worlds right here at home. So please join me, Lisa Ling, for another incredible journey.
They don't.
Here we go. Discover, I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really?
Yeah, we just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
Fall in love with IHOP's fall combos with eggs your way, hickory smoked bacon, and a side of Cinestack pancakes topped with cream cheese icing. Or our pumpkin spice pancakes made with real pumpkin. Yippee-ki-yummers, I can't wait to stuff them in my pumpkin mouth. These fall
Fall pancakes are back at IHOP starting at $4.99.
Medicare cards are changing with new, more secure numbers.
Like con artists, they never change. They'll always try to steal your medical identity.
So what can you do? Guard your card, just like a credit card.
Don't give your Medicare number over the phone or email.
And remember, Medicare never calls unless you've asked them to.
To find more ways to guard your card, go to medicare.gov/fraud.
Don't let your guard down.
Let's go then.
He's happy. Your family's finally eating vegetables, thanks to our Bird's Eye Voila skillet meals.
And they only take 15 minutes to make.
Ow! Bird's Eye Voila, so veggie good.
Now you can fly Southwest one way for just $69 for your fall travel. And if you think these sale fares are low, you should see what we charge you for 2 check bags. Low fares, no hidden fees, that's transparency.
Ready to do this?
Yes.
Turn right here.
During the Jeep Adventure Days event,
This is so fun.
discover deals as legendary as Jeep SUV's 4x4 capability. Because it's more than just a test drive. It's your first adventure. Hurry into the Jeep Adventure Days event.
1 year ago, Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. The president claims the recovery efforts were a huge success. CNN has the real story. The CNN Special Report, Storm of Controversy. What really happened in Puerto Rico. Friday night at 10.
Spectrum Internet delivers faster download speeds and better performance. Our fiber-rich network connects hundreds of millions of devices. Now there's Spectrum Internet Ultra with 400 megabits per second and Spectrum Internet Gig with speeds up to 940 megabits per second. Delivering the bandwidth you need for online gaming, streaming video, and more for multiple users all at the same time. Upgrade your speed today for as little as $20 more a month. Spectrum Internet.
Rochester Chevrolet just revolutionized the way you shop for cars. We'll bring the car to you. That's right. Shop online from the comfort of your own home. We'll bring the vehicle to your doorstep, appraise your trade, and make you our best offer on the spot. No pressure. Your schedule, your terms. It's that easy. Call or click and we'll come to you. It's the future of car buying, and it's here now at Rochester Chevrolet, the at-your-door automotive store. Buying a car couldn't be any easier.
You be the judge.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
This just into CNN. The chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, has responded to the letters sent by lawyers of Professor Ford, the woman accusing Judge Kavanaugh of sexual assault. He says, quote, Nobody should be subject to threats and intimidation, and Dr. Ford is no exception. These are serious allegations. Dr. Ford deserves to be heard. Her testimony would reflect her personal knowledge of memory and events. Nothing the FBI or any other investigator does would have any bearing on what Dr. Ford tells the committee. So there is no reason for any further delay. Great start off for a great debate. Jess McIntosh, Niger Innes. Jess, is that good enough for you, what Grassley says?
No, of course it's not. I think the FBI investigation is a perfect thing to ask for and the appropriate thing to get. It's not lost on anybody that we're almost 27 years to the week of the Anita Hill hearings. We're not in 1991 anymore. I know Chuck Grassley is still sitting in the same place as he was back then, but a lot has changed. We can organize in ways that like my mother would have dreamed of when they were fighting that fight. Women have a language to talk about this thing in a way that we didn't before. Even the phrase sexual harassment didn't show up until the Anita Hill hearings. And we have women on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So it's not going to be the kind of thing where one man can say, this is the only way we're going to do it. We want her in front of the committee telling us what we want to hear on Monday, my way or the highway. It's just not going to fly in 2018.
Nigel, why not go to the FBI? They're a fair arbiter. This is what they do. This is their appointed role within judicial nominations. It's up to the president.
The deep state.
For fairness from it, and give it to the FBI.
I wish actually someone named Senator Dianne Feinstein had exactly that point of view when she got this information from a Democrat congresswoman in July. And the fact that she sat on this reveals exactly what Dr. Ford's friend said in the earlier hour. And I agree with Dr. Ford's friend completely, which is that Dr. Ford is being used as a
Dr. Ford is fake.
And if that analogy is correct, and I agree with it 1,000%, then the quarterback is Dianne Feinstein, the coach is Chuck Schumer, and the running back is Kamala Harris. And what the Democrats are doing for political purposes with Dr. Ford, who clearly, in my opinion, has a 3.5-decade-old memory and a trauma
You really think that?
she believes occurred to her is a disgrace. It's an outrage. But
Nigel, I get your take on the politics, not to give you short shrift. I get it. I get that you can criticize how we got here. But how does that remove the interest in giving it to the FBI now that you have an actual controversy?
Well, the fact is that the letter has been submitted late to the FBI. Judge Kavanaugh has not had the opportunity. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. But I think a fundamental of American law is that
you have the right to confront. You have the right to confront your accuser. He would hear.
Absolutely.
He would hear as well. Actually,
and right now, all we're dealing with right now, Chris, is a letter that has been submitted. And I think Grassley is absolutely right to say that under whatever circumstances, privately, over the phone,
can't be private.
In a hearing,
can't be private.
No, it can be private.
No way. Not with these people. Can't trust them.
Oh, you
Privately.
The leaks. Oh,
I love the leaks.
Privately.
I'm a journalist. I'm
Hell
saying, I
no.
don't trust what they're going to ask. I don't want the left to come out and say,
That needs to be-
very compelling, very compelling. And the right to come out and say, some holes, and that's all we get. I don't even call them Democrats and Republicans anymore. I call them left and right because it's all
Make it known.
now with them.
You're
but
right.
I have to tell you, Jess, I believe
You're right.
Roger makes a point that ultimately what may wind up countering his initial argument, which is Kavanaugh hasn't gotten his say. Not all allegations are even, and an allegation is certainly not dispositive proof of an outcome. But who would want this more than he should? Let the FBI take a look, go through what she says, see if they can corroborate it, which they certainly do better than a Senate staff, and then either they say we got nothing, we cannot substantiate this, or they say we found
We're
this.
pushing ahead of
in
this,
either
hon.
way, you have fairness.
We're pushing. We're speculating.
This is
We're
exactly
speculating.
the kind of pattern that Republicans usually call for in these cases. We have to have all the facts on the table. We have to have the evidence. Here you have an accuser who's actually saying, all right, I will submit to a legal entity. I will tell the story. I mean, she's already taken an FBI-given polygraph test, which she passed. So she comes to this with even more credibility than the average actor.
She's asking for the FBI. Who asks for that?
And why wouldn't Brett Kavanaugh want that if he truly thought that he had nothing
And he,
to
by
hide
all of
in
my
that?
reporting of people who are around him and know him, he believes he is right. He believes he can defend. The question is, Niger, do his sponsors and boosters believe the same? When they got word about this, the White House didn't go into vet mode. They went into defend mode. They put a group of people around him, of women who would say what his character
I
is.
say
and
have
attest
the
to his
trial right
qualities.
away.
They went into defend mode right away. Maybe they don't trust their own guy to come through this clean.
I don't know that I agree with that characterization. In fact, I think when it comes to the 200 women that had rallied around Brett Kavanaugh, what we know from the Me Too
I think it's
movement-
Ford that has hundreds, and I think it's 65 that came around Judge Kavanaugh
Even fewer
and some
now.
backed
We're
away
really talking about
when
the
the name
record
was put to the
after the
letter.
allegation.
What we know is this, okay? And those women were testifying to Dr. Ford's character. Fair enough. Be it 65, 200, and I thought it was 200 with Judge
Control
Kavanaugh.
room's checking.
Let's say
Let me know.
let's say 60. Let's say 65. Okay, I'll concede that. All right. What we know from the Me Too movement is that with folk like Kevin Spacey, Weinstein, I feel awful saying this, but Bill Cosby, there's a pattern of behavior. This thing doesn't just happen.
It's true.
For
You do it once, you
3.5
may have done it
decades.
more than once. Fair
Right.
enough.
And what we and
Bill
in terms of
Cosby.
the pattern of behavior based on the testimony of I believe it's 200, but let's say 65 women that Judge Kavanaugh has mentored, that he has gone to school with, that he has dated, that he has worked with, all of them testifying to his character. That's the only pattern that we have right now.
Right now.
And one allegation that hasn't even been made official because unfortunately Dr. Ford refuses to testify.
Well, she doesn't refuse to testify
privately.
She's not hedging. She's doubling down, Jess.
Absolutely. This is an incredible act of bravery. And I would like to point out that the 65 women who signed the letter before this accusation dropped, of those, I believe journalists could only find 5 who were still willing to say their names and that they stood behind Kavanaugh after the accusation came out. So I think
They
these are people
signed
who
their
signed
name
the letter
on
saying, hey, we knew
letter.
this guy in high school. And now that they're aware of what their names were being used for, they don't necessarily want to be on the record saying, I'm not saying he never did
Control
that.
room, actually, just for the record. There were 65 people at the White House and other people put around Kavanaugh. I'm not disparaging the effort or the integrity of them. Many backed away after a name was put to the allegation,
Absolutely.
as opposed to being anonymous. Hundreds of people have come out from different avenues of existence of Professor Ford to back her. Those are the numbers. Just
But this is not a character battle between Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh. This is a question of trying to find out the truth of what occurred. And in terms of...
Who the fuck is Kavanaugh?
Credibility is going to count. It may be the ultimate indicator. It may be the ultimate indicator. Because look at what we've seen in this, what I call a Fugazi process to this point. And again, it's not about Kavanaugh. It's not even about the Republicans. Both sides play the same toxic game every time out with these judges. It's about non-disclosure. It's about him saying, well, Roe v. Wade is settled law, so I would respect that. No, he knows that the Supreme
I was
Court
going to say, I think there
unsettles law.
actually is another pattern at play here.
That's right.
And it is of Brett Kavanaugh dissembling in front of senators
He played
during
the
these
game and he
hearings.
played it well, and it's often about non-disclosure. So credibility could be an indicator here
Absolutely.
that creates some risk, and maybe that's why
One
the
thing that I think
Republicans
is-
want to run away from it.
One thing that I think is credible is 6 FBI background checks over a 12-year period, 8 years of which
They don't talk
you had
to
President
everybody.
Obama
They
in charge
they
of the
talk to
Justice
everybody.
Department.
They talk to people, but they miss this because she hadn't come forward.
No, but if there was a pattern of abusive behavior,
Well, the pattern
what
isn't
is it
the
we're talking
standard.
about?
One is enough. Now, God forbid,
We're
we have one of our kids or someone we care about. One's enough.
But because we're talking about potentially, let me make this quick one, then I'll hand it all back to you. But what we're talking about here is very serious, all right? And I do believe that Dr. Ford legitimately believes this. I don't know that it's true. I don't believe it's true, but I do believe that Dr. Ford believes there was some traumatic incident that occurred 35 years ago. This traumatic incident is assault. Potentially assault, it is a potential gang rape, all right? That kind of behavior by an individual in high school, it doesn't just go away. It's
Not
happens
gang
one
rape. She
time,
never
it's
said that.
over.
She never said
No,
gang
she
rape.
said that the 2 individuals.
She never said rape. She never said gang. She said somebody else was there.
He jumped on top of.
Bruh.
That's not rape. She says it's not rape, but that's not the point. One is enough. What her recollection is whatever it is that should be vetted But we got to be careful, Niger,
No.
not to play against the presumption of when someone has an accusation. Does it mean that it happened? Not necessarily. Are all allegations even? No. But if you run away from this out of political expediency and you wind up elevating somebody and rewarding them after an allegation like this with a lifetime appointment, that matters too. Just final word.
That is the absolute point of all of this. We are talking about whether or not to elevate somebody to a lifetime appointment to the highest court in this country. If you are going to be a Supreme Court justice, that means you are a person of impeccable integrity, impeccable character, able to see the humanity of every American, regardless of gender or race. And that means if you tried to rape somebody, even if it was just the one time, you're out of the running. You don't get to be the swing vote on whether or not women have reproductive freedom.
All right,
What if he is innocent? There are two victims here. Dr. Ford's abused by Feinstein and Judge Kavanaugh. If he's innocent, well, American law is presumed innocent until proven guilty. And right now, Judge Kavanaugh doesn't even have the opportunity to respond.
But
and he should have the opportunity to respond.
You are both right. Hallelujah. On this point, we agree. You should have common ground, and we want it all to come out. Everybody should have their say. Accuse, defend. Can you corroborate? Different standard than in a court of law. She would have to show there's corroboration. Let the FBI do their job, and at the end of the day, have some measure of confidence before something that ensures a generation of jurisprudence. Niger Innes, Jess McIntosh, strong arguments. Thank you for making them on the show. All right, so in the middle of all of this, Stormy Daniels is back on the radar. She's got a tell-all book, and we learn things, new claims, new insights. What will Donald Trump say and do? Chris Cillizza with the key takeaways next.
So-so pizza? Not in this house. Because that's no so-so family. That's your family. Which is why you didn't grab just any cheese. You picked up new Kraft expertly paired mozzarella and Parmesan for Pete's. Ah, yeah. Kraft. Family gravy.
Alexa, tell ADT to set good night mode.
Turn down service. Brought to you by ADT. A smart home with 24/7 protection. Designed and installed just for you.
Meet George Jetson.
With instant acceleration, electric cars are more fun to drive and more affordable than ever. Electric cars are here. Plug into the present.
With moderate to severe Crohn's disease, I was there. Just not always where I needed to be.
Sure, right?
I hope so. So I talked to my doctor about Humira. I learned Humira is for people who still have symptoms of Crohn's disease after trying other medications. And the majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief, and many achieved remission in as little as 4 weeks.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible.
Computer, order pizza.
Of course, Daniel.
Fridge, weather.
Clear skies at 75.
Trash can, turn on the TV.
My pleasure.
Ice dispenser. Find me a dog sitter.
Okay.
And make ice.
Pizza delivered.
What's happened to my son?
I think that's just what people are like now. I mean, with Progressive, you can quote your insurance on just about any device, even on social media. It'll be fine.
Really?
I don't know.
Congratulations to the CNN original series, United Shades of America,
and Evening Routine What's Unknown for winning 8 Emmys at the Primetime Emmy Awards.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you.
We're Thumpkin. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual assault from the time I was 10 until I was 16. Every single day. The court process was difficult and painful. It can completely destroy a victim. You're not informed of court dates, denied the chance to tell your story. And the person that did this to you has stronger rights than you. The scales of justice in Florida are not balanced. It's time for equal rights. Please vote yes on Amendment 6.
It's a Kenco.
A Kenco? What's a Kenco?
Imagine a sandal with superior arch support that can improve circulation, help reduce swelling, and relieve stress in your feet, legs, and back. It's like therapy for your feet. A foot massage with every step. Footwear for a healthier you.
It can only be a Kenco.
And Kenco massage sandals are exclusively available at Happy Feet Plus.
Her book is not safe for work. Stormy Daniels' upcoming tell-all has salacious details about her alleged affair with Donald Trump and some intimate details about him. Hillary Clinton and The Apprentice make some surprising cameos in the pages. How do I know? Because we got a copy. So what are the big takeaways? Chris Cillizza has more. What are your top 3?
Okay, here we go. Yes, you are right. The salacious headlines about descriptions of genitalia will be the thing that titillates people. There's actually
What?
There's actually some stuff in here that I think is worth sort of revisiting. Number 1, and I think by far the most important, you mentioned it. 2007, Stormy Daniels says that she is with Donald Trump when watching Shark Week, by the way, when he receives a phone call from none other than Hillary Clinton. She's not sure what goes on in that phone call, but when he hangs up, he says he loves Hillary Clinton, they're friends, and they went to each other's wedding. Now, that's not exactly true. Donald Trump didn't go to Clinton's wedding, but they did, as you know, because we've seen the pictures, go to Donald and Melania Trump's wedding. Okay, that's the biggest takeaway. Second takeaway, she asked him about his hair, what the deal is. He says, it's just kind of my thing. Now, why is that important? I think it's important because it gives you some sense that he is self-aware. We always ask this question, is he self-aware? Does he know how he is being perceived or does he not care? I think he sort of is a little more self-aware than possibly we give him credit for. Now, the last one. She says that he promised her a slot on The Apprentice, and this is the important part, he would help her achieve some of the challenges beforehand.
Fuck you, Cuomo.
Presumably that's better for her career. Now, we never wound up happening. Obviously, Stormy Daniels wasn't on The Apprentice. We know from his golf game to almost everything else, Donald Trump used the end justifying the means. So these are all, I think, small things, with the exception of I would love to know what she talked to Hillary Clinton about in 2007 while she was talking against Barack Obama. These are very insightful into his character.
I like it, and they are all to the middle of the big question, which is how will he respond? And we'll see. This book is supposed to be about helping her credibility and telling her truth. That's what her lawyer, Michael Avenatti, argues, but I think it's also a provocation, and we'll see how it's responded to.
One very quick last point, which is he almost always is his own worst enemy on Twitter and on everything else. He doesn't leave things alone that he should. This book could be dismissed by many if he leaves it alone. My guess, if past this prologue, you won't.
Did you hear that, Mr. President? What will you do? Chris Cillizza, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we can't turn away from something that has to be a focus, not just now, a week from now, 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now. Carolina is not through. Floodwaters are
Yeah,
rising.
that's not a joke.
Death toll is
Where the
climbing.
fuck is Trump? Ow.
Many are desperate. The need is just beginning to be known. Food, supplies, consideration, construction. President Trump is planning a visit tomorrow. What do we know? Next.
What is Trump tweeting about this? Has he tweeted anything? I would think he would be in the news.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on a car insurance with Geico. Cool, huh? He plays football.
Believe it, Geico could save you 50% or more on car insurance.
Fue un esfuerzo de 22 años para sembrar todo lo que teníamos y María lo destruyó en menos de 24 horas.
Yeah, Trump.
Un año después de María no sabemos cuándo vamos a tener la luz.
Why didn't he send the National Guard?
Our solar panels and house survived, but the whole system collapsed. I needed cash, but the banks were closed, and credit cards were just plastic. A friend in Missouri told me, why don't they send you money through Western Union? Shortly after the devastation of Hurricane Maria, Western Union sent a plane of cash to Puerto Rico. And now, I could begin helping my neighbors.
Lo importante de saber que nos estamos ayudando a pesar de tanta tristeza que había.
There will be other storms, but we'll be ready to weather them together.
Lighten up with Feria Extreme Platinum Hair Color by L'Oreal. Lightens hair up to 7 levels. Feria is ammonia-free with conditioning oil. Never dull, never flat. Live in color. Live in Feria Extreme Platinum by L'Oreal Paris.
Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunday was so true.
Jerusalem Tel Aviv. Vacation beyond belief. Book your trip now.
There's nothing small about your business. With Dell Small Business Technology Advisors, you get the one-on-one partnership to grow your business. The Dell Vostro 14 laptop. Get up to 40% off on select PCs. Call 877-BUY-DELL today.
Join T-Mobile and get Netflix included for the whole family, so you can get lost in space in your own backyard. Or get pumped up for your grand entrance. T-Mobile lets you watch your favorite movies and shows in more places without paying more. Get an unlimited family plan with Netflix on us. And right now at T-Mobile, buy one Samsung Galaxy S9 and get one free.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Now for my latest hit.
$3 entrees for never Tuesday, and all you gotta do is buy that garden bar, baby. Yeah! You guys get it? If you buy the garden bar, you get a $3 entree. $3 entrees right now on Ruby Tuesday.
What's with him?
He's happy. Your family's finally eating vegetables, thanks to our Bird's Eye Voila skillet meals.
And they only take 15 minutes to make.
Ow! Bird's Eye Voila, so veggie good.
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things I'd like to say to you. After all the crazy things that we've been through. I needed you in the dead of night, the wake of the day, first broken light, and blind I'd follow you. Never realized how much I needed you.
Comfort. What we deliver by delivering.
Don't forget about Florence. It's not about the hurricane, it's about everything that comes after. The Carolinas are still in chaos right now. Floodwaters continue to rise. Flash floods, damage, danger, the death toll. 33 linked to this storm as of now. Rescue crews working, saving people trapped across 2 states in all kinds of places known and unknown, many of them now former roads, islands, communities. Hard hit North Carolina, aerials today show the destruction that the hurricane inflicted on that coastline. Take a look on the left. Neat rooftops, white sandy beaches. The right, the reality. All worn away, towns in ruins. I was there, as you know, as it all unfolded, talking to a number of people who wanted to stick it out. Their turns were getting shorter and shorter to make a difference. Their streets became rivers, highways, waterways. Now the peril grows. Footage from FEMA shows this search and rescue. Amazing what these of the lost are coming from. Authorities in North Carolina on just Monday recovered the body of this little boy, Caden Lee Welch. swept away by floodwaters. He was there with his mother, and the waters took him away from her. Imagine the tragedy. I don't even want to think about it, but it happened, and it matters. The states are working to recover from the storm. More than 300,000 people are without power. Some are facing dwindling resources, and that's where we come in. Don't forget, there but for the grace. And these are your brothers and sisters. And tomorrow, the president is going to the Carolinas. He's going to visit some of the affected areas by Florence. How will he respond? What will he promise? How will he deliver? Those are key, and we will be watching. Thank you for watching me. Let's get after it again tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, right here on CNN.
If you're waiting patiently for a liver transplant, it could cost you your life. It's time to get out of line with UPMC. At UPMC, living donor transplants put you first, so you don't die waiting. UPMC does more living donor liver transplants than any other center in the nation. Find out more and get out of line today.
Here we go. Discover, I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really?
Yeah, we just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
This isn't a liner. Well, to be clear, it's an invisible liner from Smile Direct Club. Our liners take teeth like these and transform them into those. They discreetly take this and turn it into that. We send your liners directly to you, and in an average of 6 months, you could have a lifetime supply of confidence. Join more than 250,000 satisfied grinners who got a smile they love for only $80 a month at SmileDirectClub.com.
Now you can fly Southwest one way for just $69 for your fall travel. And if you think these sale fares are low, you should see what we charge you for 2 check bags. Low fares, no hidden fees, that's transparency.
The fact is, there are over 9,600 roads named Park in the U.S. It's America's most popular street name, but all state agents know that's where the similarities stop. If you're on Park Street in Reno, Nevada, the high winds of the Washoe Zephyr could damage your sighting. That's very different than living on Park Avenue in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where ice dams could cause water damage. But no matter what park you live on, one of 10,000 local Allstate agents knows yours. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
The gang, considered the world's most dangerous, is preying on our most vulnerable. How old were you the first time you saw someone get killed? The real terror of MS-13.
Sunday, on the season premiere of This Is Life with Lisa Lang.
In a world where every path is unique, we believe the best in digital infrastructure can transform healthcare with connected hospitals in places like Cleveland and support better patient outcomes in Honolulu. We believe today's digital campuses can empower students with greater insight in Charlotte and inspire a new way of learning in St. Louis. We believe a powerful digital connection can dazzle spectators on Broadway and enhance the movie experience in theaters in LA. A simple belief that every fiber-lit building fuels the industry in all of us. Let's turn the promise of technology into digital progress together. Spectrum Enterprise.
Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown, the final episodes, starts Sunday at 9 on CNN. Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world? Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-455-1827.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news. You'll only see it here. Christine Blasey Ford, the woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexually assaulting her, wants the FBI to investigate her allegations before talking to the Senate Judiciary Committee about it. We know this because 360 has exclusively obtained a letter that her attorneys have just moments ago sent to Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. It lays out in stark terms the price she says that she and her family are already paying. Chairman Grassley wants her to appear next Monday before the committee. Republicans want to speed the nomination along. Democrats want to go slow. President Trump says Judge Kavanaugh doesn't deserve this, but until now, we did not know what Dr. Ford wants. Tonight we do, reading now from the letter to Chairman Grassley that we've just received. As you know, earlier this summer, Dr. Ford sought to tell her story in confidence so that lawmakers would have a fuller understanding of Brett Kavanaugh's character and history. Only after the details of her experience were leaked did Dr. Ford make the reluctant decision to come forward publicly. The letter continues, saying, quote, in the 36 hours since her name became public, Dr. Ford has received a stunning amount of support from her community and from fellow citizens across our country. At the same time, however, the letter goes on saying, quote, her worst fears have materialized. She's been the target of vicious harassment and even death threats. As a result of these kind of threats, her family was forced to relocate out of their home. Her email has been hacked and she's been impersonated online. The letter then says this to Chairman Grassley, quoting again, while Dr. Ford's life was being turned upside down, you and your staff scheduled a public hearing for her to testify at the same table as Judge Kavanaugh in front of 24 U.S. senators on national television to relive this traumatic and harrowing incident. The hearing was scheduled for 6 short days from today and would include interrogation by senators who appear to have made up their minds that she is mistaken and mixed up. While no sexual assault survivor should be subjected to such an ordeal, Dr. Ford wants to cooperate with the committee and with law enforcement officials. And this is the bottom line, and I'm quoting, as the Judiciary Committee has recognized and done before, an FBI investigation of the incident should be the first step in addressing her allegations. A full investigation by law enforcement officials will ensure that the crucial facts and witnesses in this matter are assessed in a nonpartisan manner and that the committee is fully informed before conducting any hearings or making any decisions. Again, we've just gotten this letter, so has Senator Grassley. We're seeking reaction from him and other committee members, which will bring you if and when they come in during the hour. But first, one of the attorneys representing Christine Blasey Ford, Lisa Banks, joins me now. Thanks very much for being with us. Are you saying, I want to repeat this line, as the Judiciary Committee has recognized and done before, an FBI investigation of the incident should be the first step in addressing her allegations? Clearly, you want it to be the first step, and so does your client. Are you saying there has to be an investigation by the FBI or else Professor Ford will not testify?
What we're saying is that there should be an investigation because that's the right thing to do.
If there's not an investigation, would she appear on Monday?
She is prepared to cooperate with the committee and with any law enforcement investigations.
Is this live?
And that has been her position and it continues to be her position. So she will cooperate with the committee in whatever form that takes. And it remains to be seen. We have to talk with Senator Grassley's office and the other committee members to determine what form that will take.
You want to engage in conversations with Senator Grassley and others to actually figure out what happens between now and then and whether or not this takes place on Monday.
That's right. I mean, any talk of a hearing on Monday, frankly, is premature because she just came forward with these allegations 48 hours ago. And since that time, she has been dealing with hate mail, harassment, death threats. So she's been spending her time trying to figure out how to put her life back together, how to protect herself and her family. And there hasn't been an investigation, and these are serious allegations. So if the senators who have come forward and said they want to treat this seriously mean that, then they'll have an investigation of these allegations so that we all go into this more informed.
Now, the Senate does have investigators. It doesn't necessarily have to be the FBI. Would that be acceptable to you?
They have to be investigated. And again, those are things that we can discuss with Senator Grassley. Whether it's the FBI or other investigators, it should be impartial investigators who are nonpartisan.
If you engage in these conversations, if Senator Grassley's staff reached out to you,
FBI.
let's assume they would, and you have these conversations, and they continue to say point blank, look, this is not something the FBI is involved with.
It's a crime. It's a criminal accusation.
We are going to have these hearings on Monday. Your client can either show up or not. Would she show up?
She will talk with the committee. She's not prepared to talk with them at a hearing on Monday. This just came out 48 hours ago.
So point blank, if there's not an investigation between now and then, she would not appear on Monday in a public hearing.
No investigation any legitimate investigation is going to happen between now and Monday. This is going to take some time. And what needs to happen is there shouldn't be a rush to a hearing here. There's no reason to do that.
So you're saying even if they say the FBI will investigate and begins an investigation, you're saying Monday there's no way your client would sit down in front of a hearing, even if the FBI said, okay, we've looked into it?
It's premature to talk about a hearing on Monday. And I think people understand that. because she has been dealing with the threats, the harassment, and the safety of her family. And that's what she's been focused on for the last 2 days and will continue to be focused on that. And so asking her to come forward in 4 or 5 days and sit before the Judiciary Committee on national TV is not a fair process. And if they care about doing the right thing here and treating this seriously, as they have said, then they will do the right thing and they will properly investigate this. And she will work with them in that investigation and also to share her story with the committee, however that happens.
So, I mean, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but I do just want to try to drill down this and be as clear as possible. Even if the FBI agrees to investigate, you're saying a proper investigation can't be done before Monday, concluded before Monday. So, and even if the FBI says they will investigate, or if the chairman says the FBI won't investigate, you're saying your client will not sit down Monday for a public hearing.
There's no reason that we should have a public hearing on Monday, given what has occurred and when it has occurred. This is being rushed through, and it's too important to be rushed through. It's not a game. This is a serious situation.
Senator Cornyn said today that your client is not in a position to be making conditions here.
She's made her allegations known. She said that she will cooperate with the committee and with any investigation, and she remains willing to do that. We have reached out to Senator Grassley tonight and indicated that, and will continue to talk with him about ways in which we can have her communicate to the committee so that they have all the information they need, and to assist law enforcement, other investigators in following up leads on witnesses, facts, and anything else.
If the hearings on Monday were not public, would that make a difference in her willingness to sit down and appear before the committee?
No, again, it's premature. 48 hours ago, she came forward, and for the last 48 hours, she has been deflecting death threats and harassment and trying to care for her family and determine where they're going to sleep at night. And right now, she can't focus on having a hearing that hasn't been investigated and where nobody has talked to her.
There are Republicans who will say, well, look, this is a stalling tactic by Democrats, that Democrats had this information, had her allegations previously, and have delayed releasing them or delayed moving them forward.
The Democrats, Senator Feinstein in particular, respected her request for confidentiality initially. And that was the right thing to do, because victims of sexual assault have the ability to say whether and when those allegations should be made public. And so I have no problem with the way Senator Feinstein or the Democrats handled this. She came forward after these allegations were leaked, and her fears, unfortunately, have been realized, because since coming forward, her life has been turned upside down. And rushing forward into a hearing when she's under this much pressure isn't the way to do it. There's no reason to do it. It's not that there's a stalling tactic at play. She's more than willing to go forward and talk to the committee in whatever form that is, and to assist with law enforcement in their investigation.
Just not by Monday.
Nothing of substance and nothing legitimate can happen by Monday.
Would your client also like to have anybody else with information testify if there was a public hearing, whenever it takes place, also be called in to testify? The other people who may have witnessed it, may have been involved in any incident, may have known about it or been told about it in previous years.
Well, hearing is not a substitute for an investigation. So
it is under oath, though.
It is, but the investigation should occur before the hearing. The hearing should be as a result of the investigation. It shouldn't be a substitute for it. And so if there are other witnesses, absolutely. Those witnesses should be investigated. Their testimony should be heard. The committee should hear from them. All of the information should be gathered so that we can get to the truth here.
Given all that you said she and her family have been going through, does your client regret at all coming forward?
I think that she felt strongly that this was the right thing to do. And she had to weigh the risks to herself and her family in doing so. And so I think she feels that it was her civic duty to come forward. That said, she's under a tremendous amount of pressure right now and is going to work to try to put her life back together and move forward. But even as she does that, she's willing to cooperate with the committee and with investigators.
So as we leave tonight, you are now the ball's in the court of Senator Grassley. You want to hear from him or his staff.
Yes, we intend to talk to Senator Grassley, Senator Feinstein, anybody else on the committee, so that we can work out a process by which she can share her information and we can move this forward in a fair way.
Lisa Banks, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We just got this story. Chairman Grassley just got the letter. As we've been talking, CNN's Caitlin Collins has been working her sources at the White House. She joins us now. Caitlin, what are you learning?
Well, Anderson, we know that Brett Kavanaugh spent the day here mounting a defense and getting prepared and briefed by his confirmation team ahead of what was expected to be that public hearing on Monday. But now with this breaking news, that really seems to be thrown into doubt. Now, what we have learned from what Republicans have been saying all day is they've been getting more forceful in their defenses of Brett Kavanaugh. They seem unwilling to negotiate an alternative date for that hearing on Monday. We've heard from multiple of them, not just people on the Judiciary Committee, but even Senator Lindsey Graham and several others who say that on Monday, that would be her opportunity to come forward, to tell her story, and then they were going to move forward with a vote. So if they're unwilling to go forward with that testimony on Monday, there's a chance here, Anderson, a really good chance they could move forward with this and have Judge Brett Kavanaugh confirmed as a Supreme Court justice, possibly by next week. Now, for the White House, back here we've been discussing with President Trump, asking him if he thinks that there should be an FBI investigation into this. And for the past 2 days, he's roundly rejected that idea, saying that the FBI simply doesn't need to do so. Now, the White House's perspective here is that the FBI received this information from Senator Feinstein when she sent that allegation over to them. They added it to Brett Kavanaugh's file, and then they sent it to the White House counsel, Don McGahn, last Thursday, which is when they learned first of this allegation made against him. Now, they say that if they don't need an FBI investigation here because the Senate has its own investigators and that they could have their own staff look into this if they want to, because of course, if you go in front of Congress and you lie, that's just like lying to the FBI. So that is their position here. That's really unlikely to change, Anderson. It's not likely they're going to go along with this FBI investigation simply because this woman who has come forward with her allegation now decides that is what they would like before they move forward with any kind of testimony.
All right, Caitlin Collins, thanks very much. If you get a response from the White House about the breaking news, obviously we'll come back to you. I want to get perspective now from someone who was here when Anita Hill came forward in the confirmation fight over Clarence Thomas. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, a Democrat, is currently in her 14th term representing the District of Columbia. She was also the first woman to chair the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Congresswoman Norton, thanks so much for being with us. You heard from the attorney, Lisa Banks, for the professor. Is it reasonable that she not appear at this hearing on Monday until there's an investigation?
Anderson, I'm not surprised, but actually I'm relieved that she still wants to testify. It's very important that she be able to testify. On the other hand, I don't see how you could throw her cold into a hearing. It's an almost cruel thing to do. With senators, very powerful senators there, no investigation against Kavanaugh, and then have what would amount to a swearing.
Why are they going to ask me to direct? They can probably hear her crying.
The woman is crying and screaming together, is what she's doing. It sounds to me like she's in the house. Oh, really? See, I don't know what's happening. Could be the daughter, too. Anyhow, I'm gonna close my door just in case you have police in the house.
to have been improper or that he had committed some sort of a crime.